you know,
Okay, you've got 30
I've got my
minutes.
tricks.
We might be joined by Violett and Michael will relocate them, but
They won't be joining us.
This was all planned.
We were actually debating who would win in the DC versus Marvel fight, and clearly we have a winner.
You know,
We do.
you know, it took some dirty doings, but they won't be joining us. Or God rest their souls. I don't know them. I'm sure they're very cool. What show are they on?
Well, Flash and Arrow respectively. So,
Which
yeah.
one?
Flash and Arrow.
Never heard.
So moving on.
No, actually, I think I have plenty of friends. I don't watch TV, but I have plenty of friends who say it's like really cool. And actually, Tara Butters, who is one of the showrunners for Marvel's Agent Carter, her husband, I think it's Mark Guggenheim, is one of the showrunners of it. One of those shows. Arrow. Thank you. And he's a super cool guy. So he's in the family. No bad blood.
I guess, starting with Agent Carter, why do you think it's a show that meant so much to so many different people?
It's interesting. I think it's a little ahead of its time. It's if you look at, I have experience being on shows that are a little ahead of their time.
Really?
You look at Dollhouse, which may or may not have been perfect, or may not have been like actually at the right home for it to be what I wanted to be. But then you look at stuff that came afterwards that kind of expounded upon the concept or built upon the concept, that like intentionally or not, but Orphan Black, which is a fantastic show, and then now with the HBO show Westworld, which is like crazy similar to the Dollhouse. You see that the concept was actually he was onto something. And so with Agent Carter, it's the truth of the matter is a female-led sci-fi fantasy show is hard for the networks to get people to come and watch, right? As much as fans like it, as much as there's a group of people who are ready for that, like beyond ready, network television's still a place where they gotta get a bunch of eyeballs, and I don't blame them. That's just how the money works out, And I give them total credit for, ABC really wanted that. They really wanted to push that. They were really behind it. They gave it a whole second season. It just was hard. It didn't really find a large enough audience. But I think the people, to answer your question, the people who really loved it, it's because it's not unfortunately it's ahead of its time, or you could say it's totally overdue, but Haley, it's like sometimes you find an actor who just melds so perfectly, and she's brilliant in everything, but with that character she just is such a perfect meld with that particular character. I think so. The concept is great, but then also Haley is so much an integral part of the show. And also, to me, what I thought was really attractive was you take kind of the pulp detective noir idea, where there's the guy out kind of, punching people and getting names, and then the secretary who's kind of like sitting there like pining after him the whole time, and you just turn the whole idea on its head. It's such a great concept, as I start to cry. It's just, no, it is. It was really smart. The writers are fantastic. Great concept, great execution, great actors, and you get used to it as an actor. Getting your heart broken. It's not fair. Like a lot of times, everybody knows with like stuff like Firefly, a great show will not find its footing or get canceled for all kinds of other business reasons that have nothing to do with the quality of the show itself.
You touched very briefly on Dollhouse there. Did you have a particular favourite persona that you had during that show, or one that you really wanted to do and didn't get quite a chance to?
I honestly, I just was always freaked out. It was my first big job, so I was always scared. I never really, looking back now, there's certain ones that I enjoy that I think are, I wish I'd enjoyed that job a little bit more. When you first start as an actor, you're just totally paranoid you're going to get fired. But looking back, I was so lucky. They're all fun. It's such a huge opportunity that I know I'll never get again. Because it just had to do with the concept of the show. You just never get that opportunity as an actor.
You seem to have been on quite a few shows that have had a bit of a rock.
Where I've died? I'm sorry?
That too. But no, you seem to have been on a few shows that have had kind of a rocky path. You were one of my favourite one-off characters in Community as Luca.
Oh.
And that show had a terrible run of it. For the one episode you were in of that, this is just for me really, but how was it working on that show? Was it?
Oh, that was wild. That was wild. I didn't know. I'd never been on, and I don't get a lot of opportunities to do comedy in television. On stage, for some reason, I tend to do comedy. I have these dual personas, right? I'm not really known for it though in television. So when I did that, I hadn't really done a lot of. Television comedy and how it's written last minute. They're rewriting jokes in the moment. And at one point I was doing a take and I heard somebody because Video Village is always like somewhere else, and you hear somebody go, I was like, what? And I kept going, and then I heard somebody yelling. I was like, what's going on? And the actors were like, he's saying, say this. And they were yelling lines. Like they're not only rewriting last minute, but yelling lines from Video Village, like, say this, or and I'd never been in a situation where you're like, oh, like right now you want me to say it, like not even in between takes, like do a rewrite. So I think that show's even more impressive once you realize that the actors are almost taking not only notes, but new line readings or new lines in the moment.
Thank you.
I guess just going back to Agent Carter, obviously you were saying that it's a show that was ahead of its time, it was also long overdue. Do you think that the show has had an impact? Do you think that it has, particularly in the comic genre, maybe paved the way for more female-centric shows and films?
I'm so, as an actor, you're kind of selfishly always looking for the next job.
Yeah.
So and by the time something comes out, I'm already on to the next job, so I'm not really thinking about the impact it has. For me, the feedback that I've got from a lot of people in who are disabled, and that it was really important for them to see, and this is just a small example of the impact that you can have being on a show, but playing a disabled character and not kind of commenting on it and not being like that's his only defining characteristic, just being a person who happens to have a disability, and then just moves on with his life. I was blown away how much feedback I got from people that was really important for them, and that they weren't the bad guy, or they weren't just the kind of like dork in the corner who's like kind of shoved off and like stay over here. That they let that person be the love interest and let them be together. And it didn't really register with me how important that would be for people. I think these things like, what was the show that had a black president? It was the 24. We have an outsized influence on people's perception, and the fact that they can see it, and the young women can see a strong, self-confident, kick-ass woman who's really good at her job and who's killing it. I think this has it has an impact on people who are adults and are grown because we like it, because we need it. I think it has a bigger impact on young people, right? Because it's formative. And a lot of families would come up and, say, we watched your show as a family, and it was so, this show was something I really felt so good about being a part of. It felt like I wasn't just putting distraction into the universe, that I was a part of something that was a really good message.
So moving on from Marvel and Agent Carter, and you were talking about actors are always looking for the next job. Given the franchises you've been involved with, what is the kind of ideal for you? What would you, if you're going to speak to a casting director right now, what would you be saying in terms of, I want that franchise, I want that role?
Everybody asks you that as an actor, you know, and the truth of the matter is life is not, life, and definitely life as an actor, is not fill in the blank, it's multiple choice. You take the best job that's offered to you. And actually you spend most of your young life as an actor freaking out and getting really upset that you didn't get some job, and then a job comes along that was so much better, and you're so glad that you didn't get that job. Being an actor kind of beats you into its like Zen. It breaks you, and then you really have to accept that the next job will be the next job, and that's the job that you're supposed to do until the job after that. You know, it really is something that you have to live by, or you go insane, or you lose your mind, because there's so many things. There's so many things that are constantly up in the air. You always have 5 things that might be your next job, and you just kind of gotta say, we'll see.
Do you have any special techniques to help deal with rejection?
Yeah, I do.
Jack Daniels? Jack Daniels?
For a moment, that was my technique. Really, it's about, to me, living your life. If you have a big, full life outside of acting, then you can go into the room and be of the best help that you can be, and you really don't want to be. Nobody's doing you a favor giving you a role that you're not perfect for.
I just got off a plane, so I don't know yet. So far so good. Got a cup of coffee, had a nice drive here, saw a bunch of stuff, drove past Buckingham Palace. I've been here a few times though, I love London. Any excuse to come back. Yeah.
And obviously you guys are both coming with 2 absolutely amazing shows amongst all the other wonderful stuff you've done. I guess, Violet, starting with you, what has it meant for you to be a part of Flash, and why do you think people all around the world love the show so much?
It is an awesome show. That's why people like it. I mean, I think people of all ages and types can enjoy it. It's super lighthearted and fun. But I love being on it because I get to be a superhero. I get to put on a suit and look really cool and work with amazing people and work in an amazing city. I don't know. It's just it's an awesome opportunity, and I'm so lucky.
And obviously, I mean, the comic genre is often accused of being very male-dominated, particularly in who gets to be the heroes. How important was it for you to be a female hero in that universe?
Absolutely. I mean, I don't know how it's taken them so long. They had a female speedster, but she was a villain. And I don't know how it's taken them so long to do something like that. And, you know, slowly the other female characters in the show are getting their powers and getting, you know, a little bit more of the spotlight in it. But yeah, you're absolutely right. It feels amazing to be a part of that and to be, you know, a girl, a woman going into that. It's great. I think it's important.
What was your reaction when you first saw the Jesse Quick costume suit?
I was so psyched. Oh my gosh, I've been waiting for so long for it to happen, and it finally did. So I was absolutely, I mean, it's great, and I love the suit, and it fits like a glove, and it's perfect, and yeah, it's great.
Had you read any of the comics before you got the role? Did you know where it was going? It's slightly different, obviously, to the comic universe.
Yeah. You know, I think all of the shows kind of do a good job of paying homage to the comics, but also creating new storylines and making it interesting for viewers. But as far as knowing her, I didn't actually know who I was auditioning for when I auditioned. When I booked the role, they were like, by the way, you're going to be playing Jesse Quick. So
they
then
pulled that one with me too.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, okay. How'd you know I was going to be good for this? Okay. But yeah, so then I read some stuff after I had booked it, but it's weird how they do things like that.
What was your character called in your audition? Do you remember?
Claire.
Claire?
And she was a CSI who was obsessed with Barry Allen and came up to him at like a work convention and was like geeking out about him. Super weird. Never has been in the show whatsoever, but yeah.
Obviously, the DC universes are all now crossing over between each other in the TV shows, and with Flashpoint happening, it gives the opportunity for different characters to turn up in different shows. Is there a particular show that either of you would like to turn up in?
I want to go back on Flash. Yeah. That was a fun set to work on. A little bit of a looser, more comedic kind of feel. So yeah, that'd be fun. But Legends of Tomorrow seems like that's a good time too. But check that out.
Yeah, Legends does seem cool because of all the time travel. Like, I feel like you have a different look every episode, and that would be just so fun to work with costumes and hair and makeup. But Arrow would be fun. I love Echo Kellum over there. He's like a really good friend of mine. This would be really hilarious to be on set with him. But yeah, any of the shows. I mean, they're all up there now, so it'd be fun.
I mean, obviously, the great thing for each of you guys is that the shows you've been on, you're working with amazing people, and it seems like you all have a lot of fun, a lot of dub smashing and stuff. It would be really nice to hear from each of you, maybe your favourite moment from set or with the rest of the gang.
Favorite moment? We're like, we actually hate everyone.
Like, well, at work or not at work?
Yeah.
Whatever you think would make...
Watch out.
whatever you think you can safely share with the rest of the world.
I don't know, there's a couple of all-star moments. First stunt scene I rehearsed with the stunt crew, I ripped the ass out of my jeans. That was pretty hilarious. Hit a cameraman in the neck with a fake baton when I was supposed to throw it at one of the other stunt guys. There's a lot of like bloopers that kind of stand out in my head. Yeah, maybe I have a cruel sense of humor.
You hit that guy with the baton on purpose. Yeah.
I didn't, I promise.
There's this moment that is just like legendary, and it's still going strong. Dominic Cooper was laying down and laughing with Haley Atwell, and somebody snapped a picture, and he was upside down, and it was from far away, and somebody zoomed in on his face, and because of like the lens warp, it was just like really like messed up. And so we zoomed in, and then we flipped it around so that you could actually, and it's just the worst picture. He's a really good looking guy, but it is like, we call it stroke face Dominic Cooper, and he just has the worst face on, and he saw it and immediately he was like, no, absolutely not funny at all. And he was like, and he started grabbing everybody's phone, and they were like, no, okay, we'll delete it. And then all of a sudden you hear a bunch of phones go, bing. And Haley had been deleting it, but she had emailed, she group texted it.
That's amazing.
So it's been now, Stroke Face Dom has been turned into a painting. It has been turned into, I got a bunch of iPhone covers, iPhone cases.
So what you're saying is it's turned into his worst nightmare.
It is turned into his worst nightmare, and I'm actually right now commissioned something from somebody that is about to arrive at my house. Yeah, it's, I think, my piece de resistance. But yeah, it's an ongoing thing, actually. It's the gift that keeps giving.
Coming this Christmas to ABC.
Yep. Stroke Face Dom.
That's amazing. Well, nothing like that. I don't know, we play a lot of games on set.
Like what?
Most recently, the game Exploding Kittens. Okay, everyone at these conventions knows it. It's awesome. It's like a card game where it's sort of mostly random chance, but sometimes there's a little bit of strategy in it. And I just always lost every time, and I'm not the best at losing. So I kind of had to take a step back and not play as many rounds. But yeah, no, it was really fun. Exploding Kittens is a good game.
And obviously there's a lot of people out there who are trying to get into acting or trying to get into the creative industry as a whole. It's, can be perceived as being quite a difficult thing to do. Obviously you guys have sort of made it, as it were. What kind of advice would you give to someone who is a budding young actor who wants to get out there, who wants to try and make a career? What would you recommend to them? If you had any sort of advice?
I would definitely say just be yourself and study your craft. I think it's really important, to get in a class in whatever city you're in. I know I come from Austin, Texas, and there's 3 classes there. It's not anything like LA where you could get into 28 different classes and they all study a different type of acting and things like that. But I mean, it helped, just learning and doing what it is that I want to do. And you don't always, with acting, it's not the same as being a musician where you can pick up your guitar at any point in time and sort of, play it and learn and do more. You sort of need to be instructed and given scenes and worked with by people. So I think it's really important to study it, absolutely.
I always make sure people know what the reality of being an actor is like. I always ask people, hey, have you ever interviewed for a job? And if they're like, yeah, I'm like, do you like it? And I'm like, no. That's the job. That's what being an actor is really like on a day-to-day basis. Is like interviewing for jobs. I interview for hundreds of jobs a year. And I'm rejected from most of them.
But it's not even a rejection. It's like you just don't hear anything.
Or you just don't hear.
Yeah.
So, it's like I always say, if you love acting, that's wonderful. I think acting is fantastic, and I think everybody should do some of it. It's like a gardener deciding to become a farmer, though. Once you monetize it, it does become something different, and it's no longer this thing that you do because you love it. It's now the thing that you do because you need money. So I would not discourage a person from doing it. I would just encourage them to know what the actual job looks like, because the actual job is not, unfortunately, what school was like, which was like doing scenes and feeling good about doing a great scene. Everybody's like, you were great in that scene, It really is a whole lot of interviewing for jobs.
Talking about one of the jobs you did get, the guys talked about their characters, but I guess, Michael, for you, we kind of skipped over the fact that, you got a chance to play one of the great anti-heroes of the DC universe.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about that, and how do you feel about seeing a slightly different version, I guess, on the big screen at the same time?
That was coming. Yeah, it was great. Like, I had a similar experience to Violett. They told me I was auditioning for an army sniper named Finn, so maybe that was a little closer to my actual character than yours was. But then I just showed up on the day I was supposed to try on wardrobe, and everybody started calling me Deadshot, and I was like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. You got the wrong person. I'm playing Finn. And they showed me all the gear, and I still thought they were messing with me. I thought it was like a joke, because they busted out the comic books, and I was like, I know this guy. That's seriously who I'm playing. So I didn't really dig in and read too much of the comic books after that. I just went by his origin story and then what they gave me in the scripts, because they told me they were going for something a little darker and a little grittier, and just built it from there. But I kind of felt like the work I'd been doing with comedy stuff really helped out to sort of humanize the character, you know what I mean? And even talking about how to become an actor, like your question, like I had a weird kind of route to it, because I was doing music my whole life, and I just took the same kind of approach I always have with my band, of just get out there and do it. So me and my younger brother started making stuff and just bought gear. Like, you don't really have an excuse now to not kind of get in the game. You can just make your own things. You can, like, at a certain point, you got to go and figure out how to have these tools to go deep into these scenes, but just do it. If you love it, do it, and do it as much as you can. And it's like any job, just keep working, and something will happen at some point, you know what I mean? But as far as the other Deadshot, I was really rooting for that movie to do well, to be something special. It is what it is. I'll leave it at that.
I'd like to backtrack again to the creative industry. From a producer's point of view, I'd like to know what attracts you to a project and what makes you say, yes, I want to do that film or that TV show.
The easier question would be, what makes you want to say no? There's a little bit. I've run into a lot of bad scripts in this past year. Maybe I've got a bit of a bad attitude right now about it, but I actually stopped auditioning for stuff about 6 months ago because I got sick of reading terrible scripts. So I got my stuff together and wrote and am producing the movie right now that I'm filming on the east coast of Canada. And so that's kind of a different challenge for me, and it was the hardest thing I ever did, but it's going well and I'm enjoying it a lot. So yeah, I mean, if you're offered a character, I guess there's two ways. It's either you relate to it and it's something familiar to you, or something so far away from you that you're like, I want to see if I can do that, and you're up for the challenge. It's usually one or the other with me.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely agree with that. Obviously, the story and the characters and their development is really important. I think, like you said, it's really important to, as a woman, to feel empowered by my role. I understand period pieces, and I understand, certain races played certain roles in the past and certain genders as well. And so if it's a period piece, I can understand it, but I also want to be a part of, the movement and the future. And so I look for roles that are empowering.